Yes, hello and welcome to the Any Given Sunday Australia podcast, the only podcast running 22, 10 and 1. Joining us, as always, in his lab at Danny Webb, AGSAU. Quickly, mate, you hate that little one, but that little one was against Dallas for the Packers, and at least we beat the Dallas Cowboys, mate. What happened to you boys?
Yeah, anytime you give up a 21-zip lead and then lose with a fumble in the red zone on special teams, like, it was just... Man, and like we're playing in Kelly Green. We're playing in Kelly Green away for the first time. We haven't lost in Kelly Green since 2023. Like, everything scripted. Like, you can't be up 21-0. You can't be wearing Kelly Green and then go on to lose. Like, it just shouldn't happen. So, obviously, I'm thrilled. I'm stoked. I'm really happy to be here.
I did see the photos of Sirianni on the sidelines. A little bit of sun peering in. He's got his arms up. He's pretty happy about it. It went downhill from there. But realistically, Danny, you're not the only one who's a little bit disappointed at Charlie Pick. Your team, they stunk it up on Friday.
I'm not wearing the black Shakur jersey for no reason. I'm in mourning at the way the Bills season is going at the moment. I do have to say, though, you know, a lot of times you'll ask someone about how their team lost and they give a football analysis saying we just didn't win the line of scrimmage or, you know, we couldn't stop the run. Danny was just can't lose in Kelly Green. I mean, that's good football analysis. I appreciated that. But yeah, the Bills, all sorts of trouble. It was an ugly game to watch. We will get into it. We'll talk about where the Bills are at, but it was it had the feeling of a bit of a turning point for the season, and it was not the kind of turning point that the Bills wanted.
Turn left when you wanted to turn right, which is disappointing. We're not actually going to talk about the Packers, which is weird, but we finally got a win that was semi-comfortable, which very odd for this season.
It's and we're all really happy for you as well.
I can tell. I can really
been
tell.
some ups and downs for the Packers this season, and we chat about it later on. I think there's a bit to talk about who you beat and why you beat them. Mm-hmm. But a win's a win, and it's safe to say the Packers, you know, it helps a lot in the march towards making that playoff spot and what happens in the playoffs. Definitely a much better scenario for the Packers after this week.
You're right. We are going to talk about. We have a lot of like younger QBs that we're going to be talking about today, and also, you know, a couple of games, your two games included, about comebacks this week, Danny. Comebacks and overtime seem to be really a hot topic.
Massive. So, like, obviously we just spoke about the Cowboys one, coming back from 21-0 down against the Eagles. Wasn't the only comeback though. So the Chiefs over the Colts in overtime, massive comeback for the Chiefs too. They were down 2, and then the Lions over the Giants was another overtime thriller, which, like, that whole game, I was like, James Winston's going to do it. He's going to beat the Lions.
He caught a touchdown. He caught around. It was awesome.
And with the best Sally ever, like, James Winston, like, bring him back as a starter. Someone bring him back as a starter. But it's just like, what a crazy week to have multiple games with massive comebacks and multiple overtimes, especially when every single game matters at the moment. Like, every single game counts. Like, the Chiefs made sure that their playoffs hopes are sitting around that 50% mark rather than dropping down below 30. Like, it meant something. And you could tell the way Mahomes went out there, especially on that final drive. He was in playoff mode. He was in Super Bowl mode. He was like, I'm not scoring on this drive.
Yeah, and an interesting one, the flip side of that is an interesting one for the Colts, who, you know, by a lot of measures, maybe, you know, we've said it before, I think the Rams are kind of playing a level of football above most other teams at the moment, but the Colts have been one of the benchmark teams of the season. It has to just let a little bit of doubt creep in that, yeah, they've had some good games. Their run game's been strong. Jonathan Taylor's been great. Danny Dimes has done a great job of, you know, managing the offense, definitely saved his career longevity. But at the same time, you go, all right, your program is good. You're a consistent team. You've been solid all season. But are you a playoff team? Are you a Super Bowl team if when you're under that pressure, you falter and you cannot win in overtime? That's sort of the next test for that Colts team that has felt complete across the board. But do they have the mentality they need, that must-win attitude, the way that the Chiefs do because they've done it for so many years?
I think you're really showing, we've said it a few times now, that you stop Jonathan Taylor, you stop the Colts. Like, he had 16 carries for 56 yards, which is,
Mm.
he had 240 last week or the week before and 3 touchdowns. Like, if you can really contain him, then the Colts are in pretty big strife.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And also, it has to be said that the Chiefs stopping the run, they haven't done that consistently for this season. So that's big for them as well. That's, they've stopped the best running back in the league this year. So that is good news for the Chiefs and therefore bad news for everyone else that loves football.
I blame you because you really called out Chris Jones on this very podcast and said, mate, you haven't been good enough. Had a big game,
Yeah,
and
he had a big
you
game.
brought the Chiefs back to life.
But as I said then, and I'll say it again now, if Chris Jones has a problem with me, he knows where to find me.
Yeah. There's not many players that if they have a problem, come find us. We know where we are.
Yeah.
Of those three, though, Charles, what do you see as so Cowboys over Eagles, Chiefs over the Colts, and Lions over the Giants? All of them 10-plus points turning around. The Cowboys 21 points at one point. Which of those do you feel like is the most impressive for the outlay of the season?
Well, I think each of these comebacks have a different meaning. We touched on it. The Chiefs is impressive because they showed that must-win attitude and it kept their playoffs alive. So under pressure, they came through. That's impressive. You would have to say that the stakes of getting over the Giants isn't necessarily the biggest overtime comeback surprise for the Lions. You would actually expect a team of the Lions' caliber and coaching to get that job done. So, that's maybe the least impressive, but they have been on a massive slide, the Lions. So they've stemmed the bleeding, and that's good news for them. The most impressive comeback is the Cowboys. That's to be 21 points down against the reigning Super Bowl champs, who their offense has been sputtering throughout the year. They've had some amazing days, but they haven't necessarily shone. But to be able to put on that many points that quickly against the Eagles' defense, that's really impressive. And also, you would have to say, for the Cowboys' defense, which no one's raved about all season, no one has been scared of the Cowboys' defense. But for them to contain the Eagles and make those adjustments, I think that makes it the most impressive win. And I do think that there are a few, valid contenders for MVP. Dak Prescott is having an incredible season, and my fantasy team thanks him for it.
Just on that, on the Cowboys coming back, and you are so right. Whatever that defense did to figure it out, and just shout out to Rock Hard Analyst, one of my punting buddies. We always bet against the Cowboys, for passing yards or receptions for the other team, and that team completely shut down the Eagles in the fourth quarter. It wasn't until the final drive or second final drive. I think our last two drives made it down into the red zone. They just made mistakes, but prior to that, it was just a punt off. We were just going 3 and out. Because that pressure that was coming on Hurts, he couldn't do anything. And if he was trying to make a pass, he was getting hit really late and then misthrowing the ball. So that whatever the Cowboys did at defense at halftime to completely change it up, destroyed the Eagles on offense. Completely did. And just took away every single power. So you can't... I almost hate the Cowboys as much as T-Mac hates the Bears. But you can't not tip your hat to them because, we're a podcast and I can do that.
There is there's still a few games back, but still in playoff contention, the Cowboys, and they'll definitely believe in themselves. Danny, to you, you said it's heating up in the season. It's heating up at home. I don't know if you can tell. I'm bloody red sitting here. But the first of these young blokes that we want to talk about, and we kind of highlighted him in our preview, Shedeur Sanders. He was seriously impressive. Didn't do anything outrageous. A couple of really good throws. Myles Garrett really blew up one of his throws down the field on the socials, but did more than enough to earn himself. I think Dylan Gabriel's been cleared and he's all good, but they're going to go with Shedeur again.
Yeah, so Shedeur's ability to scramble and make decisions under pressure was actually impressive. Something that really bothered me, though, was after the game, he was just he was getting interviewed and he was just I did this after 1 week, one practice with you're playing the Raiders, mate. So let's just wind that back a little bit. And he's imagine if I had the full training camp, what this team could have been. Yeah, okay, I get your thought process and where you're coming from, but like he didn't. It wasn't like you're exactly right. He didn't have a lights out game. He still got sacked. You know, he still threw an interception. A couple of his passes were like not necessarily amazing. But in saying that, you know what? The defense really, really helped out the Browns in this and made the scoreboard look a lot nicer because of the stuff that the defense did. So really, this was a Myles Garrett game.
It's interesting. Like his stats didn't set the world on fire, but averaging 10.5 yards per completion, that is pretty, like, that's rock solid. You'll take that from a rookie QB. I think he could also take issue with Jerry Jeudy, who, like, Sanders got out of the pocket, layered a really nice pass to the outside to Jerry Jeudy, easy catch on the run, and then he just coughed it up. Like, it was punched out of his hand. Like, it was like he was barely holding it, thought the play was dead. It was, and you can imagine, like, it would have been so disappointing. That would have had him almost to 250 yards passing, and it would have, meant that possibly they were putting it away sooner in the game. I agree with you, though. Shedeur Sanders, much like his dad, has absolutely no ability to let other people talk him up. Let other people say you did a good job. You don't. If you did a good job, you don't have to point out that you did a good job. So hopefully he settles. But I think it is, like, on one of the longer running stories of the season. It's a good outcome for him. He was definitely better than his draft position. And it's good that he had the opportunity to train with the first team and start and show that no one knows if he's a starter yet, but he's an NFL quarterback. And I think it's worth him exploring it. Who knows? He could be quarterback for the Raiders before we know it.
You're right, though, Danny Boy. It definitely was a defense game. Myles Garrett, 3 sacks. The team, 10. Myles Garrett, though, Danny, he's on 18 sacks. He's in line for, I think it's 25 and a half, 26, which is breaking the record by 2 or 3 in the season, which is enormous. He's a big, big man.
He's proven his worth for every single cent of that massive contract that he signed, isn't he? And, like, he made that decision to sign for that big contract and stay with the Browns. So he's doing everything he can to, like, to keep him in games. But yeah, he'll smash that record. I got no doubt.
Charles, next week they've got the 49ers, and I know they are a banged-up defense, but I reckon they're coached a little bit better. So we'll see a little bit more about Shedeur next week. The other QB, you kind of alluded to...
I think that shows you really no ball to say that the Niners are better than the Raiders. I think that's spot on. That's astute observation there, T-Mac.
I will give a shout-out to one of our long-time listeners, Dave White. He's a mad Raiders fan, and he hit us up on X and said they'll beat us. So shout out to him. And he picked it early, so well done to him. The second young QB that I want to throw to you, Charles, is the JJ McCarthy era over before it even starts? Danny said beware of 9, and 9 is no good.
Yeah, it's not looking good for JJ McCarthy. If you missed it, he's actually now in concussion protocol. He's out injured, which I think one of the worst things you can be is injury prone, and concussion prone is no good either. Like, just ask Tua Tagovailoa. It doesn't really help your career as a quarterback. But I think the bigger concern is the Vikings were 1-3 from his 4 starts for them this year. That's not a good sign. Combined with the fact that he's been injured, he's been out so long injured. And the one thing he needs, if we believe in him as a talent and think he has what it takes, he needs reps. He needs game time. He needs to play in those, play in as many games as possible and learn. And if he gets to the end of this season, and it's the end of his second season, and he's played 5 or 6 games in 2 years, we know for a fact it's hard to develop from there. We know that he's missed so much development by being injured, and when he's on the field, he hasn't blown the doors off it.
You said this the other week, Danny, that 9, when he comes out, 9 is scary, but I don't have his stats up in front of me exactly. I do. 12 of 19 for 87 yards. I don't know how scared of that you should be.
I never said he was scary. Well, I said the fact that he's giving himself an alter ego at this point in his career and then going out and performing like that, is very ill-advised. And he's proved me well and truly right in this. And you also got to look at like Justin Jefferson, right? So he's going out there and he's having his worst year of his young career. And like he's had a whole bunch of QBs thrown at him. Like, he went through the Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold, even Carson Wentz, who was performing well. And then you put JJ McCarthy in there, and you've got one of, if not the best wide receivers in the league, and now he's having the worst year of his career. Like, that's got to point to more than just the wide receiver room.
Yeah. Charles, what do you know of Max Brosma?
Well, I don't know a lot of Max Brosma. I don't think he is the key for the Vikings. I do have a crazy theory of what should happen next. If Joe Burrow actually starts again for the Bengals, then I think I think the Bengals have to cut Flacco just so he can play for the Vikings. He just needs to play for a couple more teams this season. I think that has to happen.
So breaking news here first has come out from the NFL saying that Joe Burrow will start next week against the Pats.
Whoa, there we go. So he is going to have to get cut.
That's Friday. That's a Friday game. So that's Thanksgiving this week, boys. Like once Thanksgiving comes around, it's pretty much playoffs. So huge. Bengals can't make playoffs. I'm pretty sure we can put a line through them. But Joe Flacco, he could go throw some shit in the NFC North.
Yeah, I just think
either him or Jameis Winston. Him or Jameis, surely.
Yeah, get Flacco and Winston on as many teams in the season as you can. It's like the old Fitzmagic. You just, for sheer entertainment, you can't go wrong.
Sorry, just on that, I said Joe B was starting against the Pats. I meant the Ravens. My bad.
Yeah, on Friday.
That's my bad. It's against the Ravens.
Recovered quickly.
Yeah.
Danny, the next one's thrown to you, and it's your little love child, Caleb Williams, mate. What's our 4,000 looking like?
So he's projected, if he keeps on throwing the way that he is sitting at 3,969. So, really close and thereabouts. The issue is, in his next lot of games, he is facing the Eagles, the Packers twice, the Browns, the 49ers, and Detroit. And the reason that's the biggest issue is because you look at those teams' passing defense, 3 out of the 4 of them are ranked in the top 10. And putting up an average of less than 200 yards when QBs go up and face him. So he's gonna really have to outperform himself. And he's had a great year. I know you're against it because he's played against some soft defenses, but he really has. He's gone out, and the Bears as a whole have really gone and believed everything that's come in, and they have changed. He went from just being a straight shotgun passer to now he's happy to do play action, have his back against the ball. All that sort of stuff is having trust in his offensive line and building an offensive identity, and they've absolutely done that. So huge shout out to him and everything he's done so far this year. I still believe in it. I'm a hoper. And mainly just so I can see you in a Chicago jersey. There'll be nothing sweeter in the world if that happens. So, yes, it's going to be tough, but I believe.
So 6 games to go. Do they make the playoffs?
Yeah, 100% they make the playoffs. They're going to take out the NFC North.
You're a fuck. Charles? Yeah, do you think he makes the playoffs?
Yeah, I do. I think of those possible wildcard teams in the NFC. I think they've won more games than we expect, and they're going to win some of those games on the way home, despite how good those defenses are. They're going to win some games, and I think they'll be. Yeah, I do think they will. Are they going to land around 10, 11 wins? I think they're,
Yeah. All jokes aside, they got a 61% current playoff probability.
Nothing funny about that.
What's the win the NFC North probability? A lot less. I'll tell you that.
Don't quote me on that.
It is a lot less. I can tell you that for free. Charles, speaking of playoffs, mate, now this is going to be tough for you, but are the Bills pretenders?
I think pretenders is unfair because we have seen them play great football this year, but they aren't Super Bowl caliber. And I think we'll make the playoffs, but I'm not confident what happens from there. I just want to read the list of IR players that the Bills have out on defense. Terrell Bernard, Michael Hoyt, Ed Oliver, Dorian Strong, Taylor Rapp, Dwayne Carter, Landon Jackson, and DeMar Hamlin. That's almost a starting defense are on IR. Not just injured. They're on IR. They are out for significant amounts of time. And on top of that, Joey Bosa has been playing with his hand wrapped so it's just a club. He's playing with a busted up hand. Maxwell Harrison, their first round draft pick, who showed great flashes, is also injured. So the defense is a huge problem. They are so undemand and they invested so much in this defense, and just the injuries have wiped them out again. And having said that, it's the offense that's the problem. There aren't enough targets. The scheme is a bit easy to play against. If you have a strong pass rush where, without going in the weeds too much, running too many mesh concepts and it's not working out. Josh Allen getting sacked 8 times in a game, there's only so much he can do under those circumstances. But that offense has had a couple of great games and then have struggled the rest of the season. So I would say it's unlikely they're going to cause anyone too much trouble. The great fear I have is that they're going to be playing the Patriots week 1 in New England and are going to get bundled out. And that will be a pretty horrific thing to watch, but it's quite a likely scenario. At this stage, I'm more confident about the Chiefs than I am about the Bills. And it's the injuries and the failure to get things right and have those offensive weapons ready for the Bills. So it's very disappointing because I think their roster, when healthy, was absolutely a Super Bowl caliber roster at the start of the year, but things have not gone well at all.
I think the one problem with where you're going to finish and face the Patriots is they're looking very likely to finish up at the number 1 seed at the moment. So they might have the week 1 off. If you're lucky enough, you finish in the 5th seed and get to play the Ravens.
And no doubt by then the Ravens will have got it together. But
it's more their defense is the problem. You can score, so that's your problem. If they got a shit defense, then you surely can turn that around.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you have Josh Allen, you're in with a chance. And it has to be said that the Houston game showed that Houston have the best defense in the league. What they are able to do is, it's like I don't know. It's like the Eagles at their best last year, or the defenses that have scared teams over the years. They're a bit like what the Ravens defense was last year. The way they complement each other, they work together, they play a whole lot of zone, but they adjust and close so well. And their pass rush is just terrifying. There's nothing wrong with the Bills' offensive line. It's one of the top O lines in the league, but they were just thoroughly beaten by the Houston Texans. So, it's the Bills have a chance. Then not likely to face Houston in the playoffs. So you can take that away. But I'm not confident that they will get on the kind of heater that they need and win get that momentum going in the way that they need. They might solve some problems and they might plaster over some cracks, but I actually think there's going to have to be some big changes at the Bills at the end of the season. Bills Mafia are too reactive most of the time, but there's a lot of talk about new coach, new GM. I don't think it's quite time for that. The level of success of that team is, of that front office and coach combination is incredibly high. But, Joe Brady, the OC, has gone from, probably the second or third choice of most teams to poach as a head coach to someone who people are questioning whether he can, evolve an offense. It feels like it hasn't grown up enough from last year.
Just on that, Josh Allen got sacked 8 times. 8 times. That's a lot of sacks. That's a lot of getting hit. And then, as soon as you start getting hit like that, as a QB, you're worried you're getting hit the next time. And then you protect the ball for a little bit longer because the last thing you want to do is turn the ball over in a situation like that. So you're going to be less likely to get the ball out quick and all that sort of stuff. So getting hit 8 times, fully sacked in a game is unbelievable.
And Josh, some of that's on him. He's making some bad decisions and not staying in the pocket, and he's getting out and getting caught. He's been sacked a hell of a lot more this year, and he has looked less effective at escaping the pocket. A lot of people, we can't, watching the tape, people can't quite figure it out. It's decision-making. He's uncomfortable. One of the big problems is his targets aren't open and he's got he hasn't got someone to throw to. The wide receiver core isn't getting separation, and we're really still missing that great wide receiver one that, they need. and he's not scrambling out of the pocket the way he has, in previous seasons. So it's there's lots of reasons why the Bills are not looking like Super Bowl contenders at this stage. I'm not confident in the rest of their season.
6 weeks to turn it around. And you've got the Patriots next week, I think, which would be big. If you can somehow turn around before then, that'll make it.
I think we got the Steelers followed by the Patriots, and then I don't know. We got half a defense, so we'll see how we go.
We'll see what happens. Lucky last now. We will say that we are recording this. There's still half a game left, or half a quarter left in the San Fran and Carolina game. Carolina down at the moment, but Danny, it doesn't matter about the result really. At worst, the Panthers are 1 game behind the Bucks. At best, they're actually out in front. Can you see this young Panthers team actually making the playoffs?
Yeah, so it's going to take a massive turnaround in this game. You say they're down. They're down currently by 11 with 5 minutes left to go. So, it's a 2-score situation against these 49ers. Well, we'll be interested to see if it happens, but I really doubt it. So then if they lose, we're looking at a 14% probability of them making the playoffs. So, I feel like a lot needs to go wrong with the Bucks, and we've just seen in the Rams game, the Bucks got destroyed by the Rams and couldn't score. But in saying that, Baker Mayfield went out injured. He has really damaged his AC joint in his shoulder, and he went down and he was hurt. He left the game, did not look well. So you take Baker out of that. He's finally got some players back. Finally got some wide receiver weapons back. But now he's out. So anything really could happen from this point. It'll be I think it's quite a fun thing for Bryce Young and this young team to get into the playoffs. I reckon that'll be really, really exciting. But just whether they can do that to get over the Bucks, I feel like that's their only option of making it because they're not going to make it on a wild card situation.
The streak of the Bucks isn't good. They're on a 3-game losing streak at this stage, and you would say, okay, great motivation, turn it around. But with Baker hurt, that's hard. That could easily be 4 in a row, and that's a slide that becomes much harder to turn around. They're pretty close in the division. Buccaneers are 2-0 in the division. Carolina are 2-1. But in the conference, Carolina are 4-2. They're going to be 4-3 in the NFC. So their standings are incredibly close. I think that the chance is not bad.
This was the same shoulder that he hurt at the Browns, wasn't it? Where he was rocking the playing with an actual brace on his shoulder as well. So do they tread it? I have heard that it's come back. It's not nearly as bad as what they thought, which is a bonus. But do you treat him with kids' gloves for a couple of weeks?
Oh, you got it, don't you? He's the one player that's kind of gone in and just fully bought into this franchise, and that franchise believed in him, and the combination of those two things coming together has made the Buccaneers successful since the Tom Brady era and since he left. Do you rush him back and then cause him to have surgery in the offseason, then he misses the whole next season? Is it worth it when you're sitting at a 6-5? I don't know what the rest of their schedule's looking like, but it's a really, really risky game, I think, at this point in the season. Their playoff probability, and I think this must be due to the scheduling, which I don't have off the top of my head, is sitting around 85% at the moment. So rest him for a game, then reassess, I'd say.
Yeah, I think the worst thing the Bucks could do at this stage is what the Browns did, and put him out there injured and just really ruin him for longer. They've bought into him. He's their franchise QB. They're not trading him away. They like the team with him and they like what he does. They have to take care of him.
All right. To finish off, Danny, do they make the playoffs or do the Bucks get the job done and hold on?
I still think the Bucks are going to be the ones to get this done. Teddy Bridgewater isn't the answer, but if he can just at least tread water and get him by, I still think if Baker Mayfield can get back in time, the Bucks will probably clinch this division.
Charles?
You'd have to say more faith in the Bucks, but I would actually say it's more exciting if the Panthers do. I think that's fun. It's great for Bryce Young. That's a great story. The fact that he has turned it around to be a quarterback that can lead that team to win that's a great story. It's good for the league, and good for a young quarterback who's worked really hard and had a lot of headwinds and kind of been a bit mistreated along the way. But yeah, you'd have more faith in the Bucks because they've been there before, and I think they're a more complete team, even with their massive, injuries at wide receiver, and even with Mayfield out for a week or two. You put faith in the Bucks.
Yeah, I think the Bucks will do more damage if they make it to the playoffs, but I just hope the Panthers can keep it close, much like the Falcons did last year. Keep it close right up until last week would be exciting. Good work, lads. Tough, like I said, it's starting to heat up in this season, so make sure you get around Thanksgiving this week. So it's just around the corner, and do all the things. Like us, subscribe, find your little reminder, and when the episodes come out, and we'll see you next week, eh?
Just one more thing before we go. I just wanted to shout out the Giants for being officially eliminated from the playoffs. Shout out to the Giants, guys. Shout out to the Giants. Big claps.
But it's been a fun old ride, hasn't it?
Been a fun ride.
My team won, so I'm the one who gets to send us off. So how about them Cowboys, Danny?